And slowly open the eyes.
I want you to talk about the abandon of self and why we abandon ourselves so much.
Well, we abandon ourselves when we're very, very small. And we start to focus on fear. And from that point, when we create separation from our own divinity, we just start building on top of that. Because we think that all the love's external. This is the problem within our educative system. Everything's external. I must achieve. I must succeed. I must compete. I must be better. I have to be the best. I have to survive. It's always external, 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 external. And this creates separation. We're separate from ourselves, our own innate perfection, and we're separate from everyone else. Because it's either we're trying to get something or not lose something, because we don't feel abundant. So when someone doesn't feel abundant, what happens? They compromise. They abandon themselves. They're always trying to comply with the outside. Because otherwise, they'll lose opportunity, lose love, lose success, lose whatever. So we're very poor. And so we start chasing everything. When I get this, I'm going to be happy. Oh, when I get that, I'm going to be happy. Oh, when I do this, I'm going to be happy. When I get a degree, I'm going to be happy. When I get married, I'm going to be happy. When I have children, I'm going to be happy. When I fly to the moon, I'm going to be happy. And there's obstacles all the time, blocking our happiness. So we have to manipulate to get what we want. And in each step, we're abandoning ourselves. Why? Because we've lost our own internal divinity. That which connects us to everything. We're half dead. We're not connected to the source. Everything on planet Earth and the universe is connected to the source. Flying with the source. Giving from the source. Surrendered to the source. Except for what? Humans. So, we are abandonment. We live in lack. We don't appreciate. There's always something missing. Nothing's ever good enough. And then all of a sudden, the penny drops. And we realize, oh, I've always been doing the same thing. Begging for love. Compromising. Oh, now I have to do something different. And I start to turn back. I start to go in. And this is when the real magic starts. This is where heaven and earth collide. And that is when we start to live in abundance. But how do we get to that abundance? Well, first we have to let go of the lack, no? All the damage, all the regrets, all the resentments, all the judgments, all the ideas. And we come back to this place of light and abundance that's within us. And we start to live there. We start to live in that space. And then we're at one with creation. we start living in abundance, we start living in appreciation, we start living in gratitude, we start to trust, we start to flow, we become divine. Everything else is divine. We're divine, but we live in this illusion of separation. The human experience of duality, suffering, addiction, need, abandonment, in the pursuit of happiness. That's how.
I want to ask you, I see that I have a lot of exigence with myself and my body especially. And I want to know how can I transform that exigence in excellence.
So stop being exigent. It's pretty obvious, no? You know, to be excellent is to be giving the best. To be exigent, nothing's ever good enough. They're very clear distinctions. One makes you suffer, one gives you joy. If you're not appreciating your body, if you're not appreciating what you do, you're competing. And when you're competing, it's eternal. It's always there. And there's always a new level, a new level, a new level, a new level. And it becomes damaging. But if you're giving the best to yourself, if you're doing it for you, if you're being excellent in taking care, nurturing, pushing, but not destroying, and appreciating what you're doing, that's excellence. If you're pushing till it breaks, and mentally nothing's ever good enough, what's that? Violence. Violence. So you have to see the distinction. It's pretty clear, no? Because it's emotional. You know how you feel. How do I feel? Oh, I feel good. I feel happy. I'm appreciating. Nothing's ever good enough. I'll never get there. It'll never be enough. What's that? Exigence, violence. Violence.
All my life I had been in a hurry and with a sensation of boredom when I stop. And here is happening the same. How to move through that sensation to be able to enjoy life.
Okay, so firstly, stop trying to go past it. Because you're saying, how do I get past that? So again, you're running. You have to surrender. You have to surrender to the boredom and find something deeper. Find something more beautiful. And all of that's internal. You know, the minute something moves in your body, you open your eyes and off you go. Because you're running away from yourself. And I've seen that. You're always the first one to come down. Because you're full of stress. And you have to stop and just surrender. Because once you go past that resistance, you're going to find something extraordinary. I'm one of the most hyperactive people on earth. I have enough energy for 10 people. But when I turn that energy inwards, there's a phenomenal explosion of love and consciousness. And I decided to do that. I decided to take all that energy and turn it in and to surrender to that. Do you think it was easy for me to stop? No. But I knew that I'd always been chasing something. Since I was this big, I was competing in sports, you know, all my life. Everything was just a big Olympic Games. For me, everything. Being the best, going faster, being stronger, Even my career initially. Winning races, faster horses, doing this, always there. So you have to get to some point where you decide, I've done that, doesn't serve, brought me here, now I'm going to go in. And use that exigence to achieve externally, to achieve internally. But with love. With love. Yeah?
After 8 years old, I learned to abandon myself to silence, to keep secrets. And today I want to talk my truth, really, to be real. And I have too many judgments with myself, also to be judged. And to be rejected by speaking my truth. Can you talk about this?
Well, first you have to move your stress. Because, you know, the funniest thing about humans, they think they have big secrets. Like we all have these things we're hiding. And we thought it was so bad, so bad. And if people find out, they're not going to love us. And then when we expose it, everyone's like, oh yeah, that happened to me. Oh yeah, I experienced that. So how do we get to that point? Firstly, we have to expose. We have to give everything to the light. Bring it out into the open. It's not always easy. Sometimes we have a lot of fear. But once we start to do that, we start to love ourselves unconditionally. And we start to find our perfection through what we perceive as imperfection. Because humans do things. Humans hide things. Humans do all sorts of things. Why? Because they're afraid. Afraid of authority, afraid of rejection, afraid of not having enough, afraid of not being loved. We have a million reasons. But we have to expose all of those and let them go. Because whilst they're within us, they're like a cancer. That guilt, that judgment, it's eating away at us. And once we let it go, it's like anything else. It just transforms. Because everything's the same energy. Everything's the same energy. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be a very low vibration of fear or a high vibration of unconditional love. But it's all the same energy. It's just vibrating in a different frequency. So when we release it, it goes into unity. It goes to the highest vibration. It unifies with the perfection. It transforms into a facet. Yeah, and the facets of the truth. Love creates me in my perfection. Praise love for this moment in its perfection. You know, our human experience in its perfection. And ultimately, unity. Yeah? Good.
My question is how not to continue attached to the story and of the feelings that that story moves, and to go deeper to be able to move through the story.
Okay, so the story's done. It's there, but you can't change it. So stop thinking about changing it. What you can do is transform it into something new. And this is what you have to do. You have to stop running the story, running the guilt, running the self-hate, and you have to move everything and transform it, or else it never serves. You know, why do you bring something to the light? So it can transform. But you have to let go of the judgment. And when you let go of the judgment, you don't repeat and you don't recreate. If you hold on to that judgment, you will create it again and again. And you want to let that go. Okay, I did this. It was really a bad choice. It affected a lot of people. But now I'm going to transform. I'm going to change. And I'm going to really change. To the grade of how much I did that, I'm going to transform into something extraordinary. And that's all you can do. And that's what all humans have to do. We have to transform. We have to change so that we can love ourselves. Because we make choices that are not based in love. They're based in hurting ourselves. And we make them in an instant. But the problem is, the minute we do it, it's done. So we have to let it go. You know, we can't, if we drag it through our whole lives, what happens? We're taking. So we use these situations to transform so that we can give. So that we can give from a new space. So you have to focus on the facets. Feel what's going on and change. That's all. That's all we can do. We have to learn to change through what happens.
Hello, Isha. I have a question regarding the mirror of perfection. I can see how the people are reflecting something bad in me, but how can I appreciate when there is something good and take it for me? Because I'm always attributing to the person, saying, oh, that's her quality or his quality. So.
Okay, so the mirror of perfection doesn't work like that. The mirror of perfection is when I let go of all my judgments, I perceive the perfection. So if you know the two facets, it starts with Om responsibility, I am that, and then Om, the mirror of perfection. It's like when you're looking in the mirror. Love creates me in my perfection. And you're sending that energy out to that image. Now imagine that image is looking back at you. And it's coming back. That is the mirror of perfection. When there is no judgment. When that projection comes back with the same energy. Both are the eyes of love. The image is giving you love. And sending you that energy. And this is consciousness. It's this constant movement. Humans are always out. Always out. All the energy's out. Now we're bringing it in. And as all of our judgments start to move, as we start to heal all of our judgments, what do we start to perceive? The mirror of perfection. Actually, we have to show that movie again. And this is why we express all our judgments. This is why we let go of the energy. Because we get to a point in our lives where it just is. And we see ourselves in everyone. And we have compassion. And we have love. Because I too was that. I was like that. So that's the mirror of perfection. We're not using it as a reflection to beat ourselves up. We're using it to love ourselves. Yeah?
There is a part of me from my first 6 months. Always I felt at home when I was inside. But when I talk or I hear talking about enlightenment, it seems like something so far from me. But I see you, and I connect with that place, and I feel so much freedom. There is a place very deep into me that wants that for me. I don't know. I want to open to that, to feel that I deserve.
You know, the thing with you is you have an innate, a deep connection with consciousness. But in this moment, unlike the other moment, you also have your attention externally. And you just need to open up. And it's not about focusing on enlightenment. You have that inside of you. It's just to enjoy that. You know, and you've just had a baby. And that beautiful unity you have with the baby, that's unconditional love. That's something very precious. And it's just because it's external, it's based in innocence, it's based in perfection. So just enjoy that. And of course you're different in this moment. But it doesn't mean you're not growing. It doesn't mean you're not evolving. Of course you are. You have to be happy with yourself. Look at the choice you made. You decided to bring the whole family. What a great choice. Stop being violent with yourself. Oh, in the other 6 months, you were focused on that French guy. Yeah, I remember. Mr. Perfection. Yeah. Now, you're focused on the baby. No, just appreciate. And don't be hard with yourself. It's a family problem. Yeah, nothing's ever good enough. Stop. Yeah? And focus on the other aspect of your family, which is the spirituality, that strong connection with spirituality. Yeah? Muy bien.
I want to ask you, what do you mean or explain more about when you say I am the facets? I heard you that in some Darshans, I'm the facets. What is that about? Or are we facets too?
My experience of life is the facets, the perfection, the flow, everything in the surrender, all of them. I am all the facets of the experience of enlightenment. And they're all different aspects of enlightenment, different aspects of behavior, different aspects of experience. But ultimately they're the same. They're unconditional love. They're perfection. I am that. I am that. There is nothing other than that. But it's not the eye of the ego. It's the eye of unity with totality. So the facets come from within me. Because I am that. And you're all that too. But you don't know yet. But you don't have to believe that. You have to have your own experience. In this moment, you're love in evolution. Coming towards unity. I'm love in evolution. But I'm already in unity. Yeah, it's crystal clear, no? Yeah. Yeah, very clear.
My question, it's just really weird to ask the camera. Okay.
What if I stand here? Will this make it easier?
Yeah, that's actually really helpful. Thank you. So, okay, I have, like, my Jewish heritage.
If I was a rich man, diddle-little, all day long I did it. If I was a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. Diddle-little. Yes, and? You don't like that song?
I was raised with that song. I don't know, it like hits like a...
Me? Papa, can you hear me? Na 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 na
Okay, but that's the thing, is like the music and like parts of the tradition like really like resonate with me on a really deep level. And like being able to like celebrate with the community, like basic aspects of life, like food or like the birth of someone or weddings or like these types of events feels so good.
Yeah.
And it feels amazing to live in community and have people that you're close with and family, and like all this part of being Jewish feels like really important to me.
And
there's this sort of, I hate all the stereotypes, and I hate feeling scared that people hate me because I'm Jewish.
we don't hate you because you're Jewish. We didn't even know.
But yeah, I don't know. I just have a lot of conflict and feeling, I don't know, afraid to embrace this part of myself and afraid of getting lost and disconnected. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, to enjoy your religion is great. But you're suffering it. You've got all these ideas. And that's what you have to let go of. Because you have judgments. I don't want to be this, and I don't want to be that, and I don't want that, and I don't like that. But it's all superficial. It's all on the surface. And at some point, you'll even go beyond being Jewish. And you're going to find something more. You're going to find that you're more than that. As Christians go beyond being Christian, and Muslims go beyond being Muslim, and Hindus go beyond being Hindus, enlightenment sees the perfection in everything. It's not identified. And this is what you're focused on here. So enjoy. Great. It's great to be Jewish. It's great to be Muslim. It's great to be Hindu. Great to be Christian. Great to be nothing. It's great. Everything's great. But be open to go beyond that too.
Through my life, I always have been surrendering to all the problems I had, like the death of my father. Not long ago, died my mother last year. The tremendous car crash that had my son. And always I have been surrendering with love. And always you are saying the word surrendering. And in a movie I saw, you say that surrendering is the path to enlightenment. And I want to know, I want that path for me. How can you help me?
Because usually in hard circumstances, we feel like victims. We're fighting against the outside. We're so attached to control because we experience so much fear. We can't surrender. But as we cultivate more consciousness, we see that love, that surrender is more important than fighting for an idea. And this comes through evolution. You know, it was interesting. Now I was just talking about all these different religions. But ultimately, the master, the Buddha, the Jesus, the Mohammed, the what, I don't know who was, David or whatever it was. Anyway, whoever it was, they were all saying exactly the same thing. But the human interpretation separated the religions. They're all enlightened masters, all saying the same thing, but humans interpret differently, and then they use that control to control the masses because they create fear. If you start to surrender to life, it's because you're flowing in a river of love. And a river of love trusts in the flow. And there's nothing more powerful than water. And the water's always going back to the whole. It's always moving back to the whole. And you have to be like that. You might not like what's happening, but you flow with it. And when you're young, you're taught to fight for everything. But as you mature and you start to find something more important, you start to say yes and flow, because you stop identifying with your ego. You know, when you're young, you identify through your ego. And you're afraid someone's going to take that away from you. They're going to change you. They're going to define you. And you know who you are. I have my ideas, my beliefs. This is who I am. But as you become consciousness, it's like children. They start to put their toys away. And they start to focus on something bigger. Oh, I'm focused on my divinity. I'm focused on unconditional love. I'm focused on what I'm being. And as I find that internal power, I start to realize that in reality, nothing can affect that. It's permanent. And that's when I find it easier and easier to surrender from joy. So, the first facet, focusing on joy. The second facet, opening to surrender to my creation. I am trusting in my creation. Yes? And this is maturity. This is maturity. This is ego. And this is divinity. Gracias.
Come visit our webpage for books, movies, and our wonderful retreat centers. Isha's simple yet powerful system is transforming lives around the world.